awesome in this place. Yes, we do, Lord.
Started the year off talking about not looking back, right?
That's right.
Not looking back and not taking and bringing stuff from the previous year with us. Not bringing hurts and pains and disappointments and those kind of things with us. So we're going to continue on that. I thank my brother Luis, right, for his encouraging words and for his prayers. You know, sometimes people don't know the effect that maybe they have. Like when you get finished speaking or something and you get to talk to them and you get to see their expression, you get to see how they took it. It's very, 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 very encouraging because the prep before the time to do it is not always so easy and without trying to get through. As a matter of fact, when Jiza was preparing for this, the first thing she says, well, Papito, what are you going to do? I want you to pray, or you're going to hold the Bible, or what you going to do? I'm like, Jiza, whatever you need me to do, that's what I'm going to do. You want me to pray, I'm going to pray. And just before the event, we were talking, and she goes, Papito, you're not going to hold the Bible, and you're not going to pray. I need you to talk about justice. And I'm like, oh, wow. Jesus. And you know, of course, I'm not going to say no, right? Because I know this is the Lord working now.
Mm-hmm. Come on, Pastor.
To realize that, you know, your daughter is being taking this position, and now all of a sudden, through her, the Lord is opening some doors for you to be able to say something. And God is so good in how He does things, because she didn't just say, Papito, I want you to talk about justice. This is what she actually said. She said, Papito, I want you to talk about justice. You're going to be the last speaker, and I want you to bring it.
All right.
Those were her words. She said, the floor is wide open.
All right.
She said, there's, however, just bring it. I want you to bring it. Now, she did tell me I had 5 minutes to bring it.
Right, right.
And so I sit here at the church, and I put my, and you know, I don't normally work from notes, right? I just let the Lord roll. So I'm like, okay, Lord, I got to get some notes down here so that I can stay within this 5 minutes and all of this wonderful stuff. And so I have some notes down, and I was going over the notes, and I'm like, I sound like some kind of babbling idiot trying to read these notes.
Come on now.
And I'm like, oh, Lord, how's this going to work out? So my prayer was, God, first of all, let me get my mind right. First of all, I need you to be glorified in what we're doing.
Yes.
I want you to be glorified. That's the first thing. I said, the second thing is I want to be able to stand with boldness and declare whatever it is you need me to declare. And so I was here at the church, and I was praying. I know the wife was praying, and so I was talking to Jiza one night, and I'm like, how do you do this all the time? And she responded, you do it all the time. And I'm like, oh, this is true. I do have to preach every Sunday, don't I?
Come on now.
Well, before that, the wife had already texted me, and I had texted her and said, oh, geez. And she texted me back. She said, what's the worries? I mean, you know how God works through you. He's just going to flow through you.
That's right.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And but it was something about Jiza's response that said, well, you do this all the time. It's kind of like, whoa, you know? So then I told the wife that, and she goes, yeah, I told you that too. Laugh out loud. And I'm like, oh, you did, didn't you? So when God's preparing you for something, you know, sometimes you get up and you get through it, and prayerfully God is glorified. But how He prepares you up front, you know, how He humbles you up front, how you feel up front before you actually do it. And so I had my script, right? I'm ready. I got it on my iPhone. I'm ready to go. I didn't actually think so much about who was going to be there. But then, hours before the event, the Lord speaks to me. I'm driving home from the church, and the Lord said, this is the way I want you to start off.
Okay.
Tell them to join you in your walk with your best friend. justice. I'm like, oh, Jesus. So it's like, I gotta get somewhere and get this down. I gotta get somewhere and get this down.
Right.
You know, so I don't want to forget what you're telling me.
Right.
And I didn't get anywhere to get it down. I shared it with the wife, and she's like, oh, boy, that's an opener right there. That'll get you right there.
Your best friend.
And so all of a sudden, from the point that God gave me how he wanted me to start to the time that I actually delivered it, the message was just pouring through me. I could not shut it down. I was trying. I told the wife, I said, I can't shut it down. What he wants to say is just rolling, and I can't shut it down. And I'm usually not a person to have these thoughts that just run through your head. And it was just rolling. And I just kind of got in the shower, took a deep breath. It just kept rolling. Got out, it just kept rolling. I was talking to people at the event, and it was shut down just for a little bit, and then it started rolling again. Even after the event, I was talking to the wife, and it was still rolling. He was still talking to me about this thing, this justice, and so it's just amazing. Again, it's amazing how God will set the stage for us to be bold and to declare, "Thus saith the Lord," as my mother would say.
Yeah.
And so, again, the fact that when we got, I was totally at peace. I was really calm and at peace. And then all of a sudden, we get there, and it didn't dawn on me that all of these judges were going to be setting up on the podium with us. Mm-hmm. Like, all these judges, I didn't think that the mayor was going to be there. Mm-hmm. You know, I thought maybe city council would be there, some of city council or whatever. But all of these other people, he didn't put all that in my head. He just gave me the message, and I didn't think about all that. And then I seen them all robed in their black robes and everything, and you know, the Pledge of Allegiance and all this stuff is going on. I'm like, oh, Jesus. You know? But after seeing them and hearing the other three speakers, it was like, only you could do this, God.
Right.
What's flowing through me right now is only you. Ain't no way possible I could do this and come up with what I'm coming up with. There's just no way possible. And so, of course, all honor and glory goes to God, right?
That's right. That's right.
All honor and glory goes to God. And our oldest daughter, you know, because I thought I hit my 5-minute mark. I thought I was good. I even told the wife, I said, I didn't go over 5 minutes. And she said, no, you was good because nobody pulled on your coat. You know, Pfeiffer didn't say nothing, you know. And so she said, you was good, 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, I stayed in 5 minutes.
There you go.
Well, when I was telling Markel in the back, he already knew just from what I shared with him. It went over 5 minutes. He said, oh no, you didn't, you went over 5 minutes. And I said, you know, Chaz recorded it and said she was trying to send it to somebody, but she didn't know how to send it because it was 12 minutes long.
Okay. No.
So not only did I go over my 5 minutes, I more than doubled my 5 minutes. And the wife said it didn't seem like it.
That's all right.
The daughter didn't get upset.
Okay.
Pfeiffer didn't say nothing.
Right.
So I guess God just held time back for people. Yeah.
You on God's time.
I was on God's time.
That's right.
Amen.
Okay.
But Brother Luis, he had shared with me something that my friend Jeff had shared with me afterwards. Jeff, I came down and actually I seen Pastor Fowler first, and Pastor Fowler said, "You can't take you nowhere," you know. But he was excited about the message that was delivered, and then Jeff, you know, we were embracing, and you know, he was whispering. He said, "Man," he said, "I was praying for you." He said, "Because it was tight in here." He said, "These folks did not want to hear what you was talking about." And I left Jeff, and I met Luis, and almost the first words out of his mouth was he sensed the tension that was in the room. Is that what he said? He said, "You could have had your eyes closed and sensed." And then he says, "And when you drop the bomb, oh my goodness." you know, because the journey was just talking about justice. But then God got to the point where justice emanated from.
Yeah.
You know, and talked about the Bible a little bit. So gave some quotes out the Bible. You know, folk were sitting there and they had to realize that even though you sit on the bench,
Come on, Pastor.
there was a law.
That's a
before
law.
there was a bench.
Say it. That's
Right?
That's
Justice was before
That's right.
you got to the bench.
Come on, man.
So, so God is he's just awesome. But you know, you put all that into perspective, and you think about it, and you think about your journey, and you think about where God is taking you. You can't get to those kind of places if you're looking back.
Mm-hmm.
If you're spending time dealing with past hurts, how can God use you in the present? Right? And that's what we've been talking about. That's what God's been trying to get us to is let's let go of the stuff that's happening in our families and all of that, and let's go ahead and move on. And we talked about last week, in order for this progression to take place, that one of the first element was faith. And we looked at some of our patriarchs of faith and how and what they went through and what it was that God asked him to do. And even in this instance, you know, when Jesus asked me to do that, I knew that was going to take a measure of faith. I knew I was going to have to trust God, you know. And so it was like, trust God. You're going to feel all these emotions, and I did. You're going to feel like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this, and I did. You're going to look at what you got to present, and you're going to go, I can't remember all of this.
Okay.
You know, I'm not going to get all this out right. I got 5 minutes to do it, and I don't know.
Right.
But trusting God, you know, I mean, not just trusting, but I mean literally, you know, you got to have confidence, right? We always say trust God, and that just ain't good enough no more. You know, it's really an enduring confidence. How about that? Because we can have confidence in something, but it may not necessarily be enduring.
Right.
See, we can have confidence to start something, and then we feel the heat, and then all of a sudden the confidence go away, right?
Yes, sir.
We can have confidence, and we hit an obstacle, and all of a sudden, confidence might not be there anymore, right?
Yeah.
But it's when you hit the obstacles, when you feel the emotions, when you feel the weight of it, when you feel the resistance of it, when you're looking in people's face and you're delivering a message to them and you know they're not receiving it, do you have the confidence to continue to deliver it
Yeah. Come on.
with boldness?
Yeah.
Or will your confidence shrink away and then all of a sudden the message isn't delivered with authority and boldness anymore?
Come on now.
Because you're concerned and you're scared. And so the message gets laced with fear and doubt versus boldness and confidence. Yeah. Enduring confidence lets you know that it ain't about me. My focus became God.
Right.
See, it wasn't what I had to say, it was what God had to say. I was just a vessel.
Yeah. Right.
My confidence was God was good enough to speak to those people.
Come on.
Whereas I might not have positioned myself, I'm just an engineer. You guys are judges. You's a mayor.
Right.
So my confidence could have wavered because you're not receiving what I got to say.
Right.
And I could look at your face, and I ain't gonna name the one that was asleep. Yes, I am. Mayor Coleman, the ex-Mayor Coleman, was sleeping.
Okay.
Yeah, sleeping.
Okay.
They don't know that you can see their face when you're talking.
That's fine.
But that can be, the enemy can use that to discourage you.
Yeah.
See, you can be standing for God, and then all of a sudden you look out, and it don't seem like nobody is there. It's like, where everybody at? I see their faces, but they're blank.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God, half of them asleep.
Right.
You can get discouraged. And all of a sudden you can start playing in your head. And all of a sudden the message starts to wither away. Enduring confidence is what allows us to get through it, right?
Okay.
But there's other aspects to this, right? I remember last night I pulled out something that I had downloaded, and it was Gandhi on justice. And I had never got a chance to read it, so I just started reading it. And in there he outlines, one of the things he says is that, you know, justice actually brings about reconciliation and healing. You know, justice isn't what we tend to think of. And it made me think about it a little bit, because the fellows started talking about justice, and then it seemed like justice was permeating there, and I think Brother Luis brought it under the door with him. And so here we are, and we were dealing with it. And then I began to look at the patriarchs again in Hebrews, and then I looked over at 12, And 12 talks about, you know, this cloud, right? Is that what it's saying? Yeah, this cloud that surrounds us. And so I thought about some things, and I thought, you know, I'm going to look at the last part of Hebrews 11, but I thought about some things, and I thought, you know, people can inspire you, can't they?
Right.
People can inspire you, right? And so there's this movie out, Jennifer Lopez, her new movie, the latest movie. I want to say Second Chance, but it ain't Second Chance. Second Act. There you go. I was getting ready to Google it. Second Act. Second Act. And I happened to be watching her on Good Morning America, and she was talking about the movie. The movie was just coming out, and there were these ladies there, and so the movie is about a lady who, you know, kind of wasn't fulfilling her dreams, and you were talking about dreams, and her dreams weren't being fulfilled in the job that she was doing, and then she gets this opportunity to fulfill her dreams, and so it's like the second act, and she goes forward to fulfill this dream, and in it, you know, not so much in the movie, but in her role in the movie, and some of the women who had seen the movie and happened to be on the set at Good Morning America were telling her how they were motivated, how they were inspired to go forth and to do what was in their heart to do. And I thought about that a little bit. And I thought, you know what? Can you get 12:1 again? You know what? God has done some things for us to motivate us and to inspire us too.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right? Sometimes we think obstacles are too big and things are impossible, right? And that we can't get them done. And some of the things that God calls us to, we see them as huge.
Yeah.
And we'll know the scripture says nothing's impossible with God. But we still hesitate. Right? We still hesitate. I mean, even in transformation, even in transforming, coming from one spot to and going to another, you know, literally metamorphosing into a new person. Sometimes we just think that's impossible. But God says there's nothing impossible with Him, right?
That's right.
And so, if the secular world, if the world can get athletes and actors to inspire them, and then we have motivational speakers, right?
Right.
You know, I don't know if you guys know Les Brown. You might not know Les Brown. Used to be on the radio. You might be too young to know Les Brown. But now Les Brown is a motivational speaker, right? And so his whole thing is to motivate people, to get them moving, right? To get them moving forward and get them stuck, to get them out of the past, right? And so they have these people. But what does that verse 1 say?
Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, who by faith have testified to the truth of God's absolute faithfulness, stripping off every unnecessary weight and the sin which so easily and cleverly entangles us, let us run with endurance and active persistence the race that is set before us.
So a cloud of witnesses. So when we come into church and we give our testimony, when you hear somebody's testimony, do you get encouraged from it sometimes? When you're going through something?
Yes.
And you hear somebody's testimony and you hear how God has brought them from point A to point B, how God has strengthened them in the midst of a really bad situation. That encourages you in your situation, don't it? It gives you the motivation to keep moving forward, don't it? Instead of giving into the situation, it actually motivates you to go forward. And I thought about that, and he said he's given us such a great cloud of witnesses. Who are these cloud of witnesses? Go back to 11 and see all of these people who suffered for the gospel's sake.
Yeah.
All of these people who held firm to the promises of God. All of these people who denied what the world wanted them to do what God wanted them to do. It's amazing. And you read it and you wonder, you see all of these stories. You see stories about Jericho's wall. You see stories about God parting the Red Sea. You see stories about Jesus raising people from the dead.
Right.
Anybody else read these stories in the Bible? Huh? And the battles that they won. I mean, the victories that they won, right? I mean, with smaller armies, right? Their armies wasn't big as some of the enemy, right? And sometimes we get it messed up and we think that, well, we say God will fight our battles, and we want God to get people sometimes. No.
Right.
People be messing with you on the job and everything. You be God get them. God get them. And God said, no, I need you to walk in justice.
Come on now.
Wow, come on now.
See, because on the Western side of things, we see justice as almost like revenge. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
Mm-hmm.
You did it to me, so you need to correct that. And I was reading something that Gandhi said last night. Last night, it was like he was saying, so if I do you wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and then that means you get to do me wrong,
Right.
because that's setting things right in your mind. That's the Western way of doing it. You did me, I do you, right? And what he said is, so that's like saying, you were my oppressor, and now I get to be your oppressor. What did we just fix here?
Nothing.
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 Huh? And he said, Martin Luther King came over and they hung out, and Martin Luther King had this deep understanding of justice. And he realized it had more to do with healing and reconciliation than it did with me paying you back.
That's right.
Come on.
Yeah.
Think about this,
Non-violence.
and I thought about it, after I just read that little bit, didn't even get to read a whole lot, that just stopped me right there.
Yeah.
And I thought about that, and I thought about our God.
Come on.
And I thought,